Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the series on the 1985 Cabernet Wagon. Today we're just going to do some final general maintenance, some fluids, some filters. I'm going to fix the visor mirrors. I'll take a look at the antenna, just some random items. Now, this weekend, one of my helpers, Kevin, one of the best W123 300 TD mechanics in the world, he is an expert. He's coming in to help me, and we're going to remove the dash and replace some of the vacuum pods behind the dash. Probably won't record that because it's tough to record when I have a helper, but I'll try to get a little video on it. Anyway, today let's go ahead and knock out the some general maintenance items. Let's get started with the visor mirrors. Okay, guys, we're in the car and we're looking at the visor mirror here, and I can see right here on the lid that little peg right there has broken. Otherwise, the mirror works fine, so we need to get a new cover on here that doesn't have the broken little peg right there, so that doesn't flop around. Also, if I look over here, we got the same thing going on, and guys, this is pretty common. I see this all the time on these cars, but we want to go ahead and remove these, and to do that, there's a screw right here. We'll go ahead and get that one out, and if we lift it up here, there's also a screw right there on the back. So let me go ahead and take these out and get them to the bench, and I'll be back in a second. All right, here's the visor mirrors out of the car, and here I have two original replacements, and we have good pegs on these, and these are genuine Mercedes, so we're just going to replace these covers. And guys, stuff like this is so common on these mirrors. You can see back here, I have tons of original old stock visors that I keep on the shelf just because I have to deal with this on just about every single car. But let's go ahead and get these taken apart. All right, first thing we want to do is open it up. All right, now this middle section here, you can take this out. We just want to be very careful. It just pops right up. There we go. All right, so we'll set this aside. Okay, good. Now we can delicately remove the mirror cover. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead, get this one back in here. Yes, well, we just want to do it without breaking anything. Come on. There we go. Got that side in. Now I just got to push it over and down. Okay, good. There we go. Now that's there. We can delicately place this back in here. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. Beautiful. All right, there's one. Now let me just knock out this other one here, and then we'll get these back in the car. I got it. What the trick is, you got to get the door kind of like halfway open like that, and then you got to put the back in first and get the clip down in there, and then you can clip the front in. There we go. Okay, perfect. Before we put it back in, I just want to clean them off a little bit. That's just glass cleaner. And glass cleaner works great on MB Techs. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. OEM. Brand new. These things aren't cheap, guys. I have to pay hundreds of dollars just to get good visor materials. You would be surprised how expensive the original old stock stuff is. Okay, got both the visors installed. Here we go. There we go. Beautiful. No more issues with that lid closing. And see how the spring is in there too? See how it springs open, and watch it spring shut. See that? That's how they're supposed to work. Let me show you the passenger side. All right, there we go. Now watch it spring shut. That's perfect. There we go, guys. All right, let's move to the antenna. Okay, so we have the original Hirschman on our bench here, and out of camera here, I have a 12-volt DC power supply. And I was actually able to get the antenna to extend. Basically, you put, let's see, we want to do a positive connection to pin 2, a ground connection to pin 3, and then you want to go ahead and jumper your positive connection to pin 1, 5, or 6, and the antenna will extend. And so I did that, and we got it to extend a little bit. But then, yeah, look at that. I think something's broken, because I shouldn't be able to move it right now. So something has popped loose, or I'm not sure. So we're going to have to open this up and take a look at it, because it kind of stopped right there. Okay, to get these 85 models open, they have a plastic housing, and you have a series of clips. See, there's a clip there, and they clip down, and the top clips onto the base. On the earlier models, it's an aluminum housing with screws on it, but the 85 models have this plastic housing. So what you got to do, you got to kind of come in here with a screwdriver and kind of pry the clip out, and then you got to go down through here. All right, we have our lid off, and first we want to take our little rubber spacers. We'll just set these aside, and we need to get down in here and see what's going on. I think that the mast may be broken or crammed down in there. We just want to change the mast. So let me get my Phillips. All right. First we're going to take our little cover plate off here. And this is where we can see our actual cable, antenna cable. All right, it's still in there. All right, we're going to take this whole mechanism out here. All right, let's see. There we go. Slide that over there. All right, now let's try to get our actual mast out. And let me see, that's like a 13, I think. All right, now we can unscrew this guy. Okay, there we go. We're just slowly, manually pulling the mast out because I want to replace this mast. I think that's the problem. Let's look underneath here. All right. Yeah, I don't see any broken mast left over down inside there. So that's good. Let's get this guy out of here. Okay, there we go. We got that final piece out of there, and our mast pieces are out of there. All right, now I just want to get a new mast, thread it back down in here, and test it out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit this with some compressed air, and then we're going to lubricate the worm gear right here before we put it back together. And guys, this is an original Hirschman antenna mast. I got several of these in the back of a trunk of a car that I bought a while ago, but this is the real deal. So we're going to install a brand new mast. Manually retract it down in there rather than try to hook up all the electrical connections. So this screws back on here. Like that. You can feed this back in here like this. All right, now let's just put our motor back in. Now I do want to lubricate this worm gear right here. That's just moly graphite grease. Next thing I want to do, so these are little pads, like spacers. They go like that, and you want to have these in place when you snap the lid back on. All right, let's see. Make sure we get it. Okay, there we go. And you got it lined up. Okay. Good. There we go. Guys, I think that's going to do it. Let's go plug this into the car and test it out. All right, before I go through the trouble of remounting the antenna, I've just got some air filter boxes here and kind of rigged it where you can have everything hooked up and the antenna just sitting on the back of the car here. I'm going to go turn on the car and we'll see what happens. Okay, let me turn it down.
Part of the exciting part for us, I think. No more war pigs of the power.
Okay, got a little station tuned in, little Aussie playing. I'll probably get flagged on YouTube for that. Let me go ahead and turn off the radio and make sure it retracts. Okay, beautiful. Original working Hirschman antenna. Mission accomplished. Let's get this remounted. Okay, have the antenna mounted. Everything connected correctly there. Now we want to take our retaining bracket here, and this comes out here around the outside, slips down like that, and then we need to put this guy on the top. Sorry for all the pollen. We're gonna have to wash and detail this car again after I'm done here. So we're gonna screw that guy down. Okay, antenna is reinstalled with the original hardware. And now let's go ahead and do a complete test. Okay, that's, just normal radio on. Now I want to do the manual antenna control on the dash to make sure I can manually operate it up and down. Okay, I'm going down, Stop halfway. There we go. And I can manually choose to go back up. And I can just completely turn off the antenna switch, go all the way back down. Beautiful. Now I'll put the switch back to the middle position and we'll turn the radio off and back on. Perfect, guys. Now, if I want the antenna to come all the way up, I need to put it in the up position. Let me show you guys. All right, see, we just turned the radio on and I had the antenna in the middle position. But if we tell it we want it all the way up, sorry, I dropped the camera. But yeah, if we tell it we want it all the way up, it goes all the way up. Anyway, that is 100% working. And we also have a good signal. All the speakers, including the rear. There we go. There's our fader switch back to the front. All right, let's do, that's front only. And that is rear only. Mission accomplished on the antenna. We do have a stereo signal. And if I turn on, turn this down. If I turn on the headlights, it correctly lights up. If I turn off the headlights, that works. And if we turn it off, we correctly have the time displaying. So, mission accomplished. All right, guys, next thing we want to do is do an oil change. I just always change the oil in my cars because when you put oil in a diesel, it like immediately turns black, so there's no way to tell the condition of the oil. However, the transmission, we can tell the condition by the color and if it needs to be changed or if it has already been changed. 1 second. There we go. I just usually get a white piece of paper here so I can test it. Okay, that is bright red transmission fluid. Let me show you guys. There we go. That is bright red. That is fresh transmission fluid. You know when to change it when it gets turns brown or gets very dark, and it's very obvious that that has recently been serviced. So as far as the transmission fluid, I recommend doing that every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. So I'll recommend the next service on this one in about 30,000 miles. All right, let's go ahead and get to the oil. Okay, guys, I just wanted to show you the transmission fluid in the car versus brand new. So if we take it out of the car, we're right there, bright red. Now if we take it out of the jug, there we go, bright red. So that's why we know we don't need to change it. So the oil filter on these cars, guys, is up top is 213 millimeters. And it's a little tricky getting the cap off because you have all your vacuum lines over here. And it's pretty common to accidentally knock a vacuum line loose. So when you're doing this job, you just want to make sure all your vacuum lines are plugged in and you didn't knock one loose. Okay, there we go. And let me get a catch can. And your filter has a little handle on top of it. There we go. We'll lift this out of here. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and get our new filter and filter cap O-ring installed. And guys, this is what I was talking about, your vacuum lines. So you see how they all run right down through here, and it's easy to knock one of those loose when you're pulling this cap out. So just check everything when you're done. And guys, I like to use the Hengst oil filter. There we go. I guess there's a part number. But good company, made in Germany. Also, each oil filter comes with a new O-ring for the cap and a new crush washer. Right there, copper crush washer for your drain pan plug. Make sure you use that. Here we go. Here's our filter cap. You want to get your old O-ring off of here. There we go. We'll just throw that away. And then I'm going to lubricate our new one and pop our new O-ring on here. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. Let's get this back in the car. Now, guys, like I said, all these vacuum lines are in the way here. So it's kind of tricky sometimes to get these back in. There we go. Got to get it past the vacuum lines. Then got to move this heater hose over here. All right. Boom. All my vacuum lines are still connected. I didn't knock anything loose. Good. All right, let me wipe that off and let's put the 13 millimeter nuts back on there. Now, these 13 millimeter nuts, you guys, they're going into studs, just pressed in studs, right? So you don't want to crank these down. That O-ring does all the sealing. And you just want to, torque these down maybe like 10 foot-pounds or so. Just snug them up. Because if you crank them down, you'll pull those pressed in studs out. And then your oil filter cap will not seal. And you will blow your oil out. So don't crank those down. We're just going to snug them up. All right, right there, snug. Snug, that's it. All right, let's get her up in the air, drain the oil out. All right, let's go ahead and get our drain plug out of here. Slide this over here and get some fresh oil in here. All right, we'll let that drain. Be back in a second. Okay, guys, all the oil has drained out, and I did notice a little seepage, back here around the rear of the oil pan gasket. So I want to go ahead and drop this oil pan and replace the oil pan gasket. And I just went over to the parts warehouse and picked one up. Victor Rines, they make really good stuff. They make good gaskets. And let's see if I can get a part number for you. There you go. And so let's go ahead and get the pan off and go ahead and change this gasket. All right, now before I change the gasket or drop the pan, we've got our new crush washer on our drain plug. I want to go ahead and put this back in there. Okay, there's like, I don't know, 20, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't know. There's like 20 or so small bolts around there. And we want to get all of those off. Now the trick is, which I'll show later, when you put them back in, it is a very light amount of torque. Because if you over torque them when you're putting them back in, you'll bend the pan and the gasket won't seal. So when we get to that stage, I'll show you how to do that. Let me get all these out. All right, now this one right here, there's a bracket, the AC manifold bracket, and on top of it, you have a nut. This one right here, here's your transmission cooler line. There's a spacer above that one. So you want to make sure you put the spacer back in. Okay, we can actually just leave the bolt right there, but here's the little spacer. It's just like a little steel spacer. You want to make sure you put back up there. All right, let me go ahead and get the rest of them out. There's also a spacer on the other side. All right, we're getting the last one out. All right, let's see the pan. There we go. Okay, we can see that's our strainer or our screen for the oil pump. I'm gonna let this drip down into this pan a little more. Okay, there you go. That's our screen. You can see there's a screen up in there. That's to filter out large particles. You can see there's our crankshaft. There's one of the rod caps there. There's our oil pump chain. That's one of the reasons these engines last so long is because the oil pump actually has a double row chain on it. And looks really great up in here. I'm just peeking around. And this is our dipstick tube right here, where your dipstick plugs into. So anyway, what we want to do now is just clean the surface really good. I'll get a razor blade and then we'll wipe it off with some acetone and get it good and clean. And then after that, I see our gasket's going to come off here nicely. I have to get a razor blade. There's our old gasket. And we'll get that off of there and get our fresh gasket on here. Good, this one's going to come off in one big chunk, so I won't have to scrape all the little pieces off of it. Awesome. So let's toss this, and then I want to clean up the surface really good here and get our fresh gasket on. Okay, as you can see, there's absolutely no particles, no glitter, nothing in the oil. Looks really good. So we're going to go ahead. Let me go pour this oil out of the pan real quick. And we want to go ahead, clean up the pan really well here in the parts washer, and then get any old gasket material off. And I'll probably respray the pan with some satin black just to make it look nice. Just clean it up real good. And also have all our little bolts for the oil pan. I want to go ahead and clean those up in here. Okay guys, I just have, this is soaked in acetone, and this will get the parts washer fluid off of here and it'll dry really nice. And then we can hit it with a fresh coat of paint. Not necessary, it'll just make it look really nice. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Much nicer. Got these all cleaned up. All right, let all these little guys dry. There's a lot of them. There's our spacers. All right, let's go ahead and hit this pan with some fresh paint. All right, we'll put a few light coats on here and let it dry. All right, there's one. We'll let that dry, come hit it again. Let me go ahead and clean up the pan mating surface on the car. All right, guys, I just have a rag, again, with some acetone on it. And we got lucky on this one. The gasket came off and didn't like tear, so it didn't leave any residual gasket behind. So we're just gonna clean it up real good with some acetone. Otherwise, usually the gasket kind of rips apart and sticks up here, and you got to get it off with a razor blade. But we got lucky on this one. We're not going to have to do that. Just want to get it real dry. And that's not gasket, what you see. That's just, you know, staining from years of oil being on there. That's nice and clean. And let's go, we'll finish hitting our pan with paint, and then we'll get it up here with the new gasket. All right, guys, I've got our gasket, and what we want to do, we want to stick our gasket on there, and then we just want to get like a bolt started here and a bolt started over here, and that'll hold the pan up there. Now, you're supposed to torque these bolts to 10 Newton meters, and guys, that is not very much torque. It is 88 inch-pounds, and you're going to think it needs to be tighter, but it doesn't. That's why there's so many of them. 10 Newton meters. Do not torque it more than that. Let's get one bolt like through one hole over here. Just gonna get it started by hand. All right, now I'm gonna get one more started. Gotta hold it there. There we go. Okay, those two are going to hold it in place so we can get the rest of them started. And let me show you how to do that. First, we'll just get them all somewhat started. There we go. We didn't run it down though. We just want to get them started. Then we want to use a torque wrench to do 88 inch-pounds. All right, let me go ahead, get the rest of these started all the way around, and I'll be back in a second. All right, guys, we have all of our bolts applied up here. And let me show you how much torque. So this is set to 88 inch-pounds. And watch this. We're just going to run it down till it bottoms out. And listen for the click. That's it. Guys, that is like, that's barely even snug. Watch, it's going to go down. Okay, it just bottomed out. Here we go. That's it. You do not torque these down tighter than that, or you're going to mess up your oil pan. Here we go. That's it. All right, let me go around. I got to torque every one of these. All right, guys, we have our new pan in here. I just hit it with a little more of the satin paint, and you can see our fresh, brand new gasket. And I went around every one of these little bolts and checked it 2 times to make sure everything was torqued correctly. And that will be leak-free for the next, 40 years. All right, guys, it's time to fill it with oil. Now, the oil I've started using is made by Lubrication Engineers. It's a 15W40 diesel engine oil. And guys, the Lubrication Engineers oil is excellent. The blend, or the additive blend they put in here, is Monolec, and it's a conventional oil with synthetic additives. And I used this stuff in my race car when I was professionally racing. I also used their transmission fluid, and it was outstanding oil, and it was incredibly resistant to the high temperatures in my race car. That's why we used it, because racing is brutal, and this oil held up. Now, guys, I don't get paid for this. I don't get anything for this. But I'm going to flash up Clay's contact information. Clay works over at Lubrication Engineers. And if you contact Clay, I think you get a 10% discount or something like that if you mention Woods and Barclay. So Clay's information is on the screen. Let's go ahead and get this thing filled up with oil. Now, while I'm waiting on the oil to settle and check the dipstick, this radiator I mentioned previously had been replaced already, and I noticed they already put the blue coolant in here, so I don't need to flush out the coolant. That coolant is fresh. You can use the Zurex G05. I think the blue stuff, it's also Mercedes. I think it's G46 or G48. Anyway, it's the blue coolant, and I can tell that's what they put in here when the previous owners changed out the radiator. There we go. It's a Nissan's radiator. I think that is it Denmark? Is it Denmark or Sweden where they make these? They're very good radiators. All right, I do need to finish up adding the oil, but the next thing I want to do on this vehicle is mount. So I'm mounting some steel wheels, and these are original, genuine Mercedes. They've been refinished, sandblasted, repainted. I just had some new Toyo tires mounted on there. I'm taking off the bunt wheels. I previously had these installed with new tires. But we're going to put these on because I have some freshly painted original Mercedes hubcaps that color match the car. Here's the other 2 back here, and I got all the clips in to mount those to the steel wheels. So let me go ahead, get these off, get the hubcaps on, and I'll flash back in a second so you can see that. Also, I have ordered a new set of lug bolts for the steel wheels, because the steel wheels actually require a different length lug bolt. Let me show you back here. Here's the for the alloy wheels, and you can see alloys are longer. And if you try to put the alloys on, especially on the rear, the lug bolt will actually hit your emergency brake. So you definitely don't want to put the wrong length lug bolts on. So we got this brand new set to install these steel wheels. Also, I got the, here's all the clips to install the hubcaps onto the steel wheels. So we'll do that in a minute. Okay, got the steel wheels mounted. There we go. And we got the correct size lug bolts in there. All right, guys, we're doing a couple more maintenance items now. Right back here, so let me zoom in. There you go. You see that little, let me see if I can point to it. That little section right there on the back of the injection pump. It's like a round hole that something can be screwed into. Let me show you where that is. So if we're looking at the injection pump, it is right back on the back side. Hard to see it in the camera, but what's in there is our rack damper bolt. Now, this is a spring-loaded. See how it's spring-loaded here? I can press that. See how loose that is? This is a spring-loaded damper that dampens the vibrations on the injection pump. It like calms the rack down on the injection pump, hence the name a rack damper. And here's the part number right here. But these wear out over time. They get kind of soft, the spring inside there, and it can cause like a fluctuating idle or a vibration. So we have a brand new Bosch rack damper bolt right here, and we're going to transfer that to this housing and screw it back in. And guys, to get these out, what you do, you put a 14 millimeter around the lock nut and you crack that loose, and then you use a 12 millimeter and you can screw the rack damper bolt out. And this is just a lock nut to hold it in place, because this can be changed. The setting can be changed. You can screw it out for less dampening, or you can screw it in all the way for more dampening. And you want to do this adjustment when the engine is hot. And you want to adjust it in, crank the engine, see if it made a difference, go in a little bit more. But if you go in too far, I think it'll make the car hard to start. And most of the times, most of these cars, it's all the way in because this spring has gotten weak. You can see this one, before I took it out, it was also all the way in. So we're going to screw this out of here. And there's a little O-ring on the end of it. See if I can show it to you guys. There you go. See that O-ring? So we're going to pull off that O-ring. And we have a replacement O-ring for our new one. Then we're going to screw this back in there. But let me show you the, let me get this O-ring off of here. Okay, there we go. Almost all the way out. Now let me show you our new one. Now, I don't know if you can see this on camera. Here's our new one and our old one. You can already see how the new one is sticking out just a little farther, a little healthier spring. But this one, watch how easy it is to press. See, I just pressed it in there. But the new one, yeah, I'm putting a ton of force. It's hurting my finger. I can't. There we go. I pushed it in a little, but that spring is much stiffer. That's what we're doing here, you guys. So we're going to put our new one back down in here into the, there we go, into our lock nut. Screw that on here. All right. And we're going to go in, we'll go in about that far. We're just going to take a guess of where I need to set it right now. And we can set it once it's in the car. And then for the O-ring, okay, there's our O-ring. So I'm going to coat a little oil on that first. Just lubricate it a little bit. There we go. Rub that around there. All right, we're going to put our O-ring back over here. Come on. There we go. All right, there we go. So you got a new O-ring on there. Now I'm going to screw this back in the car, and this will last for many, many years to come. Unfortunately, guys, it's impossible to record this, but I got to go way down, like under, and let's see. There we go. And you don't want to break or hit any of your vacuum lines when you're installing that. But let's see. Okay, guys, we have our rack damper bolt installed. I'm going to try to zoom in. Okay, there you go. You can see it is not screwed all the way in. See, you have the lock nut is on the left, and then the rack damper bolt is the nut on the right. And you see we have a gap in between them. So that means there's some more adjustment room to go in further. But I stopped right there. And now we want to crank the car, do a test, and make sure we have a smooth idle with no vibration. Okay, I may need to make a further adjustment, but let's go ahead and test it out. Guys, I think I nailed that on the first adjustment. Did you see how quick it fired up? And actually, look how smooth it is. And our idle is not moving around. We have a very steady idle. Only mild vibration. Guys, I nailed it. That's the correct setting. Oh yeah, that's running great. Let me go see what the idle is set at. Yeah, I think I got the idle around maybe 850, 800. Yeah, that's fantastic. Sometimes you can get them down around 750, but each car is different. You know, 750 to 900, that's kind of the range I see them in. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. Oh yeah, that's very good. All right, mission accomplished on that. All right, guys, it's a few days later, and I've been cramming on this car all week. But today I picked up Kevin. You guys probably know Kevin from some of the other videos. And Kevin's going to take over today, so I'm going to stop doing the videos here. But Kevin's taking out the dash, checking all the climate control pods, you know, these things behind the dash that move all your vents, your actuators. And he's also taking out, you can see the sunroof is over here. He's taking out the sunroof. We're checking these gaskets and lubricating all the sunroof rails and cleaning everything out up here to make sure that's nice and operational. So he's going to take care of all that. I'll be back. We might have a little video here and there, but I'm going to take a break and Kevin's going to work on the car. So I'll see you guys in a little while. All right, guys, it's the next day. I'm back in the shop. Kevin has done a ton of stuff. He actually shot some video when the dash was out, so I'll splice that in. But let's talk with Kevin and ask him what he found behind the dash. Yeah, so when you had the dash out, you said a couple of the vacuum pods.
Yes, the fresh air one and the defrost one were bad.
And then you noticed the center vent one had already been changed.
Yeah, someone changed it, but they did not put the pin in or it fell out. So it was actually doing what it was supposed to be doing, except there wasn't a pin to open.
Okay, so it like came detached from the flap.
It's detached.
All right, here's some video that Kevin shot when the dash is out. Now, right now, he's showing the climate control. Those are the defrost flaps. Those are all closed. And the fresh air flap right there is closed. Now, he's going to turn on the defroster. And you can see the defrost flaps are now opening correctly. Now, he's going to switch it to AC by rolling this climate control wheel to AC and turn on the AC. And here, you'll see the center vent. This is the pin he was talking about. You see that little pin that is holding the arm to the center vent? That pin was missing. He put it back in. You can see now it clearly operates correctly and it opens the center vent. And he's going to show us, let's see, over here. There we go. There's the fresh air flap. That is now correctly opening. He changed that vacuum pod. Now over here, I don't know if we're going to get a good shot of this. Okay, looks like he's closing. Okay, he turned off the AC. See the flap closed. Now, underneath here, over on the right, I think he is trying to show us where he did the defroster pod, which is slightly out of the camera angle, so you can't see that. But he changed the defrost pod under there too. And he just showed the defroster was correctly working. Okay, you put that in, and I saw you out here too. You were messing around with the, I think you said you changed the Klima relay. Where is that? Let's show these guys. Yeah. So underneath here, guys, is the climate control relay. So we put another one of those in there, and that controls without going into too many details, that has a lot to do with your AC system. And, you know, that's what Kevin's been working on, the climate control, the AC system. So we changed that relay. Over here on the sun, oh yeah, here's the old relay. We think this one had some problems, and that was actually a rebuilt one, but call for warranty. I'll probably send that one back for warranty.
Just the buzzer.
Yeah, also, I noticed, you know, when you turn the key and you're in the car and the door's open, you're supposed to get a buzzing sound. And I noticed this car had no buzzing sound. So Kevin took out, that's the underdash buzzer. There's your part number. And so we put another buzzer in there. Let's go demonstrate that for these guys. So that way, when the key's in the ignition and the door's open, here, turn the key, and I'll just hold the camera here. There you go. Makes the correct buzzing sound now, which is the normal behavior. So Kevin also has the sunroof out, and we're checking all the, these are the like little nylon pads that the sunroof slides on. You have the felt, I think these are felt up here, right, Kevin? These are felt, and then these are like nylon or plastic. And yeah, I mean, these are all good. We're just going to lubricate these and then slip the sunroof back in and put our headliner back over it. That way it'll have smooth operation. Let's see, what else? Oh, I'm going to do the mono valve, guys. I'll show you that, and that's just a preventative maintenance. But the mono valve is right back here. See, there's a 12-volt power there. And let me show you what that is. I have a bunch of them over here because I change these all the time. And these are genuine Bosch. Yeah, here's one. So the mono valve, this is an old one. I don't think it's good, but see this, oh, let me get you a better one. That's a bad one. Here's an old one, but see this goes up and down, right? See how it slides out? And when 12-volt power is applied, it pops out and plugs a hole and blocks your coolant, your hot coolant from flowing through the heater core, and then your AC works. But when you turn the heat on, it comes back down and opens that hole. And what happens, here's one that I've changed. Let's see. You get a tear. There we go. See how the boot is torn there, and they'll stop working. So just as a preventative maintenance, I want to go ahead and change that on this car to make sure it's good and fresh. The clock works, cruise control works. We're going to install the roof racks and the dog net. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll put the sunroof back in. I'll briefly show you changing the mono valve, and then that should be it for this car. So let's go ahead and move to the mono valve. Okay, guys, for the mono valve, what I've done, I just removed our firewall, like that's the gasket that touches up to the rear of the hood. That just simply pulls off. And I've unclipped our harness from our two clips here. And right down here on the mono valve, I've unplugged our 12-volt power. And there we can get access. See, there's 4 Phillips head screws. I got to take those out, and then I can slide this insert out. All right, guys, I know you can't see back here. All I'm doing is I've just got a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. And when you screw these out, the big thing is you don't want to drop them back behind here because you'll most likely never find them again. But look, if you do, all they are is little sheet metal screws. Let me show you. And you can just replace them. There we go. That's all it is. So take all those 4 out, and I'll show you what the valve, how it comes out. All right, guys, I got all the little screws out, and then you can just grab the mono valve. Now, coolant is going to come out because coolant flows through here. So you'll get a little coolant that spills on the floor. That won't hurt anything. We'll just pull this guy out of here. We're going to take a look at the condition of this one. Okay, yeah, see, that's why I do this. See right there, guys? See that little tear? Right there, you can see a small tear in the boot. So what that would have caused is probably either the heat would have randomly started coming on, even though it hasn't happened yet, we didn't see any effects. It causes strange behavior where like sometimes the heat will randomly come on, or you'll have full-time heat, or you'll have no heat at all. And like I said, we didn't notice any of those effects yet, but it would happen, absolutely. Let me show you how this works. So this whole contraption here pulls apart. There we go. Now, all this is an electromagnetic coil. Yeah, like that. That takes 12 volt power. And there we go. This here is the monovalve insert. So we'll put a new monovalve back into this. Now, here's what's important. There's 3 washers here. You have this big thick washer. It has to go in this order. And then this wavy washer. See how that's like a wavy washer? See, it's crusty. That's because coolant's been on these. You know, coolant flows through here. And then here is a small washer. You have to put the new washers back in that exact order. So let me get the new Bosch monovalve. Okay, guys, so this is a genuine Bosch monovalve. I think MTC is an aftermarket company. Do not use that. It is complete junk. Now, you can get a rebuild kit made by Euro. See, this is a brand new, genuine Bosch. See our boot there? See how nice that is? This will last for many, many years. You don't have to worry about it. And also they send, you know, a new wavy washer. You can reuse your big washer and your little washer, but you want to, that's a spring washer is what that is. It adds tension. It's okay to reuse these two. These are just metal washers. So first we want to slide on our small washer. You want to put on your wavy washer, then your big washer. There you go. And then all we do is slide the monovalve back in there. And guys, you're good to go. That'll work for many years. Now also, you see that notch right there? See how you have that notch? That notch goes around the electrical wires where they pass through right there. You want to make sure you don't want to install it like that, because see, then you'll have a small gap and it won't work right. You'll have a gap between this and the solenoid or the coil. So you want to line that up right like that. And then you can reinstall it by holding it like this and putting it back in the car. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Just holding our monovalve here. We'll just lift that up. There we go. Got to get this harness out of the way. There we go. Slide her back in there. And there we go, guys. Now I just need to put the screws in and we're good to go. Okay, there you go, guys. Harness is installed back under there. Power cable's plugged in. See, the new monovalve is screwed back in. That'll be good for many, many years to come. All right, after we did the test fit on the sunroof and got everything working, Kevin is reassembling the handle here. Show him that little pin that has to go through there, Kevin. Yeah, so basically what you have, there's your locking mechanism. See, there's a hole that goes through that lever. And then this pin.
It only goes one side's larger than the other.
There you go. That pin slips through there and holds everything in place. What is there, an E-clip on the other side?
That's a ball bearing with a spring.
A ball bearing with a spring holds that in there.
That provides when you move, it gives it like the detent, like the.
Oh, it gives like the feeling of clicking to open position.
Yes. That's what it does.
So that's kind of tricky getting that back in there, but once that's installed, we'll permanently put the sunroof back in.
There you go.
Beautiful. Mission accomplished, guys.
I put the rails on and then.
All right. Now Kevin has to attach the rails that actually hold the sunroof in place. We have the rails off. Basically, it's these guys. And there's like, what are there, 3 screws here? 4. 4 screws here.
One machine screw. And
so there's a screw up here to like raise and adjust the height. It's an adjustment screw, but there's 4 screws that hold the rail on. And the rail basically goes right here now that the sunroof is in, and it keeps it from being able to come out like we just installed it. So we'll put those rails on. We'll clean them up a little bit and then reinstall them. Okay, we're down to the final touches while Kevin is up there putting the sunroof retaining brackets back in there, or sunroof rails. I have the dog net. Guys, this is an original Mercedes dog net. These are crazy expensive, especially trying to find one in the exact same color as the car, you know, beige. I found this in England and had it shipped over here, shipped overseas, and it is beautiful. Still has all the clips on it, still fully functioning. There's our net, and I'll pull it out once I get it in the car. It's hard to do it on the bench. Now also, I got some roof rails, but what's unique about these, they still have the rubber pieces on there. And I have a contact out in California who actually had these. It is, you know, most of you have probably never seen a wagon that still has these rubber grommets on here. And what those are for, if you got a wagon, if you ever notice when your roof rails are like pushed up close towards the front of the car, you'll get a whistling noise when you're on the highway. And so Mercedes figured out to get rid of that, if they put these rubber, you know, bushings or grommets on them, it breaks up the wind and you don't get the whistling noise. And otherwise, to get rid of the whistling noise, just push both of your roof rails all the way to the back of the car, and that'll eliminate the problem. But those are the original ones. So let's go ahead and get this stuff installed on the car. Here's a cool trick that a lot of people may not know, but if you look back here in the back, see that indentation in the wheel well there and right there. It's like, what are those? Why are those there? Well, your roof racks, if you take them off the car, they fit perfectly in that indentation. That's what those are for. They're for roof rack storage. Pretty cool, huh? All right, while I'm back here, before we put the spare back in here, I want to show you a couple of nice features I've done to this car. This is a metal overflow tank. On the 85 models, those tanks were all plastic, and the plastic will actually crack and you'll leak fuel out of these overflow tanks. This is from an 81 model. In the 81 models, they were metal, so that will be good. You'll never have any leaking. Also, all the hoses right here, those are your fuel lines that go to this overflow. All those have been replaced, so those won't ever leak. Those are good to go with new hose clamps on here. And of course, I'll clean up a little down here before I'll put the spare back in there. Here you go. This is an example. This one didn't come out of this car, but this is an example of what came in the 85 models. This is a plastic overflow tank versus the metal one that I just showed you guys. And here's all those original hoses that are changed. But see what happens on these? There you go. See that little crack right there? These plastic ones, from the vibrations, you can see another little crack forming right there. That was a weak spot on the 85 wagons. Actually, Kevin, wasn't this 82 to 85? It was plastic? Yeah, I think they actually did it as early as 82. So anytime I see an 81 wagon, for example, I grab there's another metal tank I have right here, and for that purpose. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and finish up with the roof racks and the dog net. All right, one final thing we're doing here on the gauge cluster is installing a new dimmer switch. So here's the dimmer switch that, you know, when you reach up on the dash and you dim or brighten your gauge lights, this is the actual potentiometer that does that. This is an original one, and what happens, there we go, that spring, see how it's come detached and it's kind of flopping around in there? See if I can demonstrate how this works. So you turn it, there we go. When you turn this, it rides on that spring, and that spring on this one's detached. That's very common. So they VDO, or Mercedes, these are made by VDO. You can see right there, still makes one. And let's see, Kevin, turn the knob there and let me show them. There you go. See the spring in there? See how smooth that works now? And that's why those things fail. So this will allow you to dim and brighten your lights and work for many, many years. you know, I guess 40 years. How old's that one? 40 years old?
40 years old.
Yeah, so that one will be good indefinitely. Okay, guys, I've got the cargo net installed, or I like to call it the dog net, and the cargo cover. So the cargo cover, it pulls out here like that, and you see the little, you got a clip there and a clip there. Here, I'll show you where those go. Let me put this back in here. So those clips attach right here on the rear door. So what that does, when you open the rear door, it lifts up the cargo cover, and then when you shut the rear door, the cargo cover comes back down, covers everything back here. Now we also have the dog net. There we go. So the dog net pulls up, and you can see there's a attachment there and over there, and this pulls all the way up, but it attaches to the roof right there. So basically that little you know, penny shaped button right there slips right into there on both sides of the car, and then that holds the dog net up in place, which is an awesome feature. I like that way better than the third row seats. You know, third row seats, no one can actually sit back there. They're too small, but this is actually way more practical to have the cargo cover and whatnot. Anyway, let me put the roof racks on. So the roof racks, we just basically, we open them up here, and then you can slide them around the bars on the side. And guys, it's pollen season in Georgia, and so there's pollen all over the car, despite it already being detailed. So we're going to go back to Scott and just have a brief touch up on the car, wash it and polish it up again to get the pollen off. But anyway, once you have it attached here, you just slide your little thumb screw down, and there you go. Screw that right back in place, and we have all our little rubber gaskets. Now I like to put one here right behind the attachment point, and then I like to also put one right behind the sunroof. That way when you open the sunroof, you don't see a crossbar coming across, and that's where I like to locate them. So let me go ahead and attach the other sides over there. All right, guys, those are reattached up there. Like I said, we're going back to Scott to wash it and get the pollen off. But also, these roof racks, guys, these aren't for putting like extremely heavy loads. I think it's either 70 or 100 pounds is the weight capacity. So, you know, really it's like, you know, an aluminum ladder or a soup case, you know, something lightweight. That's what they're intended for. Anyway, there we go. Those are reinstalled. All right, so Kevin just got the gauge cluster in. We haven't slid it back in because we want to test that new potentiometer or the dimmer switch first. So he's going to connect the battery, and I'm actually going to shut off the shop lights so we can see that. Okay, let me turn off the light here. Okay, there we go. So, Kevin, let me get in there where I can see you dim and brighten that. There you go. Bright, dim, and also, let's show him down there. So, watch the window switches. When he dims it, they also correctly turn down and up. So good. There you go. See, your hazard switch is turning on and off. So that's working good. Now we have a 100% correct working dimmer switch. Okay, guys, everything's reassembled on the sunroof, and Kevin's gonna unlock it. Beautiful. And then he's gonna shut it back. Oh, that works really nice now. We lubricated everything really well, so that's good to go. Okay, we're doing a final inspection under here before I lower the car down. And the exhaust appears to be all good back through here. We have no leaks where the connection is there. However, I looked back here on the muffler, or the resonator, and I spotted that right there. See that little hole? There we go. There's a little crusty spot right here and right here. So I need to get this thing off of here and change it. Now, good news is, several months ago from my parts supplier, I got an original Wagon exhaust. This is in remarkable condition. There's not even any surface rust on here, and it's original Mercedes. Also, the muffler back here, original Mercedes, still has the sticker on here with the part number. original muffler with all the original bracketry to attach it together here and up here. So that's probably officially one of the nicest wagon exhausts in the country right here. So I'm going to go ahead and unbolt this entire exhaust. We're going to disconnect it right here from the downpipe, and then I'm going to put up this beautiful new exhaust, and this should be good to go for the next 40 years. All right, I got this exhaust off, and they actually had already replaced, that's an aftermarket Anza muffler, but here we have, now we have back on, I'm not sure if you can see the sticker here. There we go, genuine Mercedes. This is the real deal, and we got the Mercedes logo there. And yeah, this one is perfect. Yeah, and look, there's not even any surface rust on this thing. Also put in a new coupler right here in the middle to couple to the downpipe. I still got to tighten that down. But now this is going to be an outstanding exhaust. So I got to get it finished lifting up there, put the little donuts on here, exhaust hangers, to hold it here and here. Now the trick with the exhaust, you want to make sure all your hangers, exhaust hangers, are lined up, because you can slide this exhaust in and out, you know, about an inch, give or take either way. We want to make sure it's all lined up before we tighten everything down. I think that's good. Here's what I'm looking at. See, I want to make sure these exhaust hangers on the muffler match up here, and on the front match up here, and it slides in and out right here before we clamp this down. And I think we just got it, so that's good. And next thing we want to do is tighten up our coupler here. This couples the downpipe to the rear exhaust pipe. And you kind of want to do it equally. Do a little there, then we'll go over here. Do it there. So it gets nice and flush. All right, that's perfect. Now see, we have that fresh coupler right in between there. See that fresh piece of steel? And that'll ensure years of service. That will never give a problem. Now this collar couples your resonator to your rear exhaust. Okay, good. Okay, I didn't like how that old bolt was tightening, so I put a fresh grade 8 bolt on here with washers. So that's now going to be good for many, many years. Let's go ahead and attach the donuts back here, or the exhaust hangers. So the way these go on, I like to use a big screwdriver. Let me show you. You grab a screwdriver like that, and you kind of slip it on the bottom there. And then kind of use the screwdriver to work it around the top, right like that. And we'll put this side on over here. And we'll start on the top on that one and work this one around the bottom. Some knobs are a little stiff. Here we go. Got that one on. Now we'll go put the two up here, and then I can remove by jack stands or telescoping jacks that are holding it up there. All right, genuine, original, old stock Mercedes exhaust. Doesn't get any better than that. Guys, these are near impossible to find, and I just happen to have one in stock. I got this from one of my parts suppliers out on the West Coast, and that's going to be good for the life of this vehicle. Very, very difficult to find original exhaust like that. All right, we have the car cranked up on the lift. I'm just checking for any leaks. We are leak free back here. And we definitely have a tight seal, leak free back here. And that's why we replaced it. That resonator is leak free. Yeah, that's just beautiful condition. And we have it positioned just right for the bump stops. Let's see, you can see we got just a little clearance to our bump stop there. And not sure if you guys can see it, little clearance to this one right up here. Yeah, that is perfect. And yep, we have an excellent, perfect exhaust now. All right, guys, me and Kevin are done. The Cabernet Red Wagon is finished. Every single detail on this car has been addressed. Everything is now 100% working. We're gonna go back over to Scott's this week. He's gonna do a final car wash and polish because there's Georgia pollen all over it. But this car is done. It's been several months. So I'm really excited. The next video you're gonna see is the final walk around. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.